Coach Martin. Aaron.
Coach, hope you're well. I'm curious how you hammer home the importance of making free throws and getting to the free throw line when you have that opportunity.
It's just simply that they're free shots. Take your time, relax, shoot the ball. But it's not. We don't have a 30-minute meeting about free throw shooting outside of practicing free throws, your game routine, that sort of thing. And if you're speaking specifically on Tillman, he normally has a routine, obviously, because of our schedule. He didn't get the time in the gym, but he got his shots in yesterday and the day before.
Mitch.
So a few guys have talked about, the importance of finishing better at the rim. I know that's something you touched on in the postgame after Auburn. When you went back and watched the film, what was kind of the things you felt like could be corrected to make that better?
Finishing at the rim, just very similar to when we played, Tennessee the first time here, when you got guys that, block shots around the rim, you got to focus on the target. And we spent a lot of time focusing on the target, put it off the glass. If you're a dunker, dunk the ball. If not, utilize the glass. Now you don't really get consumed with whether or not a guy's blocking your shot. And I think that was the biggest thing as we got to the rim, not focusing on the target because they do have shot blockers. But again, when you see how we finish it, not going strong, not aggressively, not using your shoulders in the way we practice, and that's the result of it.
Bill Pollock.
Yeah, good morning, Cuonzo. Just a big picture. What's the one area of your game, X's and O's, that you've been impressed with? And then what area do you see as the biggest for growth at this point in the season?
I think I'm trying to find a way to answer that question, but biggest growth, I just think consistent execution as a team. And I think for us, like the first half of Tennessee and some first halves of games, we got, especially the first 5 minutes, get off to a good start and just really doing what we practice. I think that's the biggest thing. When we get ourselves in a situation, you watch that first 5 to 7 minutes, and it's the translation of what we've practiced, who we are, let it resonate in the game, and then whatever happens after that, let it take its course, because we scout opponents, how certain teams come out and play. And nobody has come out in the game differently than when we scouted them initially. Obviously, people make adjustments. So for us, it is doing what we do in practice, let that carry over. Then when we have to make adjustments, we'll make the necessary adjustments. But we can't go out in games and doing stuff that we're not accustomed to doing, or four of the guys on the floor are not accustomed to seeing.
Gabe.
Cuonzo, I think Jeremiah had 6 or 7 blocks last night. And that's something he's added a little bit for being a guy his size. It's not something he's done a lot before this year. Where's the growth there? And I mean, is there a skill to becoming a shot blocker beyond being 6'10"?
I think it is a skill. I really do. And for him, we've always talked about making plays on the ball, trying to block shots, making plays on the ball. But there's also a feel, because you don't have to try to attempt to block every shot because of his size. People think he's coming to block shots. So now just being big, and he's not a guy that's a charge taker. So you don't want your big guys in most cases taking charges. So just having instincts, and it's very delicate because he's a guy that's been foul prone throughout his career. So now all of a sudden it's like, let's be careful with this, but just really jumping high, stand down on shot fakes. Because I think there was probably only one foul in maybe the last 4 or 5 games in my mind that I thought he didn't have the discipline on. We played at Tennessee, and Ferguson had him in the lane. He's got him up in the second half. But other than that, I thought he's been sound defensively with his assignments. And even when he's making plays on perimeter, guys shooting jump shots. I think he got a couple fouls, just jumping straight up. And he's gotten better at that. But I think it's, some guys does it naturally, but I think in his case, it's been a developed skill.
Dave?
Cuonzo, what stands out about this TCU team that Jamie has this year?
Oh, they played well. Even though they came up short, I thought they played well last night against Kansas. Moved with a good pace. I think they moved with a better pace. Got up and down a little bit more than they had in the past this year, meaning they have 2 really good guards. They have other guys that can make shots and make plays. They have a big guy that's, seals you down at 6'11", knows how to seal. How to get angles. They go inside to him. He knows how to finish around the rim. And, Jamie's team's always tough, hard-nosed. They're gritty. They play at a high level. They compete, and they share the ball. So, again, it's for us really controlling the tempo, not allowing their 2 guards to play with a lot of comfort on the perimeter, and making their big guys work for post touches and post baskets.
Eric?
Cuonzo, not a question directly about the team, but I had the pleasure of speaking with Chase the other day. How did him come walking on to Purdue come about? And then is it weird looking over to West Lafayette and seeing your son wearing 22?
Man, Eric, how'd you get his number?
I contacted Purdue and asked to speak to him.
No, he's yeah, you know, for him, and like my oldest son, Josh, he chose to go to Purdue. It was between Purdue and Cal, and it was his choice. And actually, when he made that decision, we were in California. We wanted to go to Cal Berkeley, but he chose that. And then in Chase's case, he had other opportunities, some Ivy League opportunities, but I think he wanted to be at Purdue. And I think for him, it's just he knows the staff. He grew up around those guys. Matt Payne was a teammate of mine. Brandon Brantley was a teammate, like a brother to me. And then the director of operations is my wife's side of the family is in the state of Indiana. My nephew just graduated from there. So and he grew up he was born in West Lafayette. So, all of that. And it's a good engineering school. I think that had a lot there. I think it's for him more the basketball. For me, it was probably engineering and my wife. But, it's his decision, man. You have to find your way. He was under our umbrella for, 18 years, and now he had to spread his wings and fly, and then let the chips fall where they may. But I think he's in a good place, and it's part of being a man. I think get away and grow a little bit.
Jack.
Cuonzo, you took the team to the EJI Lynching Memorial, the Legacy Museum, and the National Memorial for Peace and Justice in Montgomery on the road trip. I'm just wondering why you took the team to those places and what you guys gained from it.
Good question. For me, I think just in society with COVID, we all had a chance, meaning you guys as well. We all had a chance in society to pause, reflect what's good, bad, just in your personal life. How can you become better as a person in your relationship, whatever that is in your job? And I just think for me, it's like when you have time, we go on these road trips, and I was doing as a college player, did as a coach, assistant coach now here. Never did those things unless they were mandatory. Like if you're on tournaments and you go see this site, and just you start to think, man, what are we really doing? What are we really teaching our guys? I mean, you have to give them life experiences. I just felt like there was an opportunity. Like I said to Paul before the season, who's our director of operations before the season started. Anytime we have opportunities to see events, not just African American, it'd be anything that culturally where we can grow from. Let's try to do that. Because I think we owe it to our players. And it's amazing how you sit back and talk to the guys after, and as players, there's things that they say, I didn't know that. I had no clue about that. But it's American history, but they had no clue about it. And they're taught American history in schools. That is a part of American history. And, it was really tough for me, walking through there because, oftentimes when you come from areas like me, come from East St. Louis, you get information from your grandparents and it's passed down from what they experienced or moving from the South to the Midwest or wherever you come from the South to the West Coast and all those things. And so you hear about it. And then as you get older, I've never experienced any of that, I've had snippets in certain locations, but just to go in that facility, everybody was speechless. And normally after those events, we'll get together as a team that night, say, guys, what do you think about this? I had nothing in me to speak about it just because life can't be hard for me. I'm grateful to be in this position. And there were a lot of people back then that not living today as ancestors who did a lot of things, made a lot of sacrifices, lost lives for me to be sitting in this position right now today. So I don't take that for granted. I've never took that for granted. But just some of the horrific things, like you see a 12-year-old kid who's in solitary confinement, who will spend the rest of his life in a cell with no windows and maybe an hour of daylight for the rest of his life, or a young man who's 15 years old get put into prison with adult men. And I don't want to be graphic here, but you raped and brutalized for years. I mean, and then you find out what was the crime. That was a crime? And that's consistent. Then you talk about all the lives that were lost that we never found out about. Or you even talk about the hangings on public display like it's a party, like we're in a downtown, let's go look at the light show. And then that's a postcard that's sent all around the country. And that's normal. Oh, Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. And then okay, we shift from that, and we got to figure out another way. So let's build these prisons up. Let's turn these prisons into $80 billion industries. That's another way to shift it. And I'll read something to you guys. And this is on the wall. A presumption of guilt has been assigned to the Black people. A presumption of guilt has been assigned to the Black people. In most cases, they're always guilty until proven innocent. Even if proven innocent, I still do a little time. And can you imagine living life like that your whole life? Can you imagine you're on a plantation and they take your child away from you and you'll never see that child again? I mean, each one of you guys, if you guys have families right now, if you got children right now, I'm coming to take your child right now and you'll never see him or her again. That's pain. And I got to live with that. I'm scarred for the rest of my life. And I got to live with that. But I got to get up at 5 in the morning and go to work. I got to still go out and go to work until dusk to dawn. That's real pain. And I got it every day until they put me in the casket. And the best chance I got to get to survive is to run. Because maybe death is probably a little bit better. That's pain. That's every day. Like Jeremiah said, it brought him to tears, and it just had me, so I'm prayerful that we can get to a point in our society we can be better. We don't have to agree upon everything. We don't. That's the beautiful thing about life, society, making your own decisions, democracy. I don't have to agree with what you agree with. But if that's the best thing for all walks of life, then it's the best thing for everybody.
Got time for a few more guys. Dave?
Cuonzo, kind of touching on that. I mean, this has been quite a year going back to last summer and everything, and you've been able to share so many things with your players. And how different has that experience been? Can you get closer with the team when they're talking about such big world national topics that are outside of the realm of the sport?
I mean, good question, but for me, I never really try to do it to get close to them. And my job is, I don't think it's for them to really like me. Now, do I love all of them? Yes, and I don't like them all the time because of some stuff they do, miss class. So that's part of it. That's just like being a parent. The guys don't play, they upset with me. Sometimes parents might be upset with me because their child didn't play. All that's part of it. That goes to the territory. But I don't do those things for them to validate me as a good guy. Or coach is cool. I like coach. That's not why I do. I do it because I have to give it to them. I owe that to them to give them this. Oftentimes you think in college, what are we really teaching them? Think about the stuff that you learned at college, and then all of a sudden what you learn when you got out of college. And you paid to go to that university. There's a lot of stuff I think we need to be teaching while in school. And it has to be, college should be uncomfortable. It should be uncomfortable education. That's how you grow. I learned all that stuff K through 12. Now I'm an adult, start teaching me those things, life. So I'm ready for life. Probably 70% of athletes, and I say all walks of life, all colors, are not prepared when they leave college. And I just got a degree. I just walked away with a degree. I just walked across the stage. I want that life education. That life education. So when pain hit, I'm prepared for pain. Struggle hit, I'm prepared for struggle. Because that's life. That's real life. And that's what I try to prepare guys for, that life of it's going to be uncomfortable, sometimes painful, and tomorrow is not guaranteed. So how do you deal with that? How do you deal with one of your teammates struggles to make ends meet, and you knew him 10 years ago and you saw him 15 years later struggling to make ends meet, he's homeless? How do you deal with that? You help him out? Or you say you should have went to class? Or what? How do you deal with that? That's life. That's going to happen. How you deal with a guy you coach and all of a sudden, coach, can you loan me $100? $100, you got a degree. How do you deal? That's real. That's life stuff. How do you help them understand, man? You know, you can start your own business in college. You can start a lawn service now. You can start a cleaning service right now. You can do that. Assets, liabilities. I need the real assets and liabilities, not that one I took in class with that stat class where I really struggled at, the econ class. I really struggled at. Give me the real so I can make a living with this stat. You know, that's what we have to help them with. And this it's so hard because oftentimes they don't see it. And how do you get them to understand life is hard? And that's why I tell my sons all the time, life is hard, man, and I'm not always going to be here. But I hope you take these lessons I taught you over and over and over again. Because when you brace yourself for tough blows, I think you got a chance to survive in life. Got to be ready for tough blows.
All right, Gaby's got about a minute left before he has to hit the film. So.
Okay, I'll be as quick as I can. But Cuonzo, listening to you, and not just today, but over the last few years, talk about things like this and life things off the court. It's obvious. I know a lot of coaches say, "Hey, I get into coaching to help kids, and not so much wins and losses." But how do you balance that part of it with the fact that you are judged on winning and losing basketball games? And I know it doesn't have to be one or the other, but how do you keep that balance in your day-to-day life?
I don't worry about it. I'm not sure how other guys do it. If they fire me, I'll shake Jim Sturck's hand. I'll give him hugs. I think Jim's a good man. And appreciate it, Jim. I go and live my life because it's business. It just, the painful part of this, if there's pain, you develop relationships. And I think Jim's a good man. So if Jim had to come and say, Coach, this is not going to work, appreciate your time, Jim. I thank you for the opportunity. I move on. You never hear or see from me again. That's it. That's part of it. And so I don't worry about me losing a job. I got a great wife. God bless me with beautiful children. I'm winning the game. I'm not a guy that spends a lot of money. I got enough money to live the rest of my life, and it's not like I have a lot. So I don't need all that. As long as I got the people around me, the family, the love, I'm good. Again, you understand, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at 26 years old. I didn't think I was gonna make it. I came from East St. Louis. I done seen humble beginnings. I mean, God trained me with less, so I know how to survive. So you talking about somebody losing a job, that's not even when I'm out there. Man, you can do what you got to do because this universe is gonna be here when I'm dead and gone. It's just, but I'm gonna live a heavenly life while I'm on this earth. I'm not waiting to get to heaven to live in heaven. I'm living it right now. That might not look like us. I'm got a scowl all the time, but hey, I'm enjoying life. Best believe that. And as long as my family's healthy, we happy. I'm winning the game. I don't care what the scoreboard says. Thank you, guys. Enjoy your day.